Could you imagine if you'd never seen any of the Alien movies and you saw, oh, get off her, you bitch?
Yeah, oh, he hasn't sworn before.
Was that alien a female? Is that why he's calling it bitch? Why is he doing that now? We don't know.
Sigourney Weaver said it 40 years
Yeah, but they don't know that, so it's just kind of...
Yeah, it'd be weird, because the movie focuses on it and stops and zooms in.
We've seen that before, and that's just schlock. That's just pure schlock.
If you're going to reference something from a previous iteration in a franchise, there needs to be a narrative reason. It can't just be, hey, look at this from Star Wars Episode 4, it's that little probe droid that Luke trains with. Goodbye.
Needs to be a part of the movie.
It needs to be there for a reason. Chekhov's gun. If we reference there's a rifle up here in chapter 3, by chapter fucking 9, the rifle has to have done something. Otherwise, don't mention the fact that there's a rifle. Unless it's just, like a red herring. There needs to be a reason. So we opened with the first time that I've ever seen it, 20th Century Studios. Did you see the logo?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, Disney brought Fox, obviously, and every other company that's ever going to exist, they're going to buy at some point. And yeah, so they didn't put the Disney logo on this, and they didn't put 20th Century Fox because Fox News and fucking right wing and all that shit. So yeah, they've brought Fox, and now they're putting like 20th Century Studios up instead of the Disney thing. It's kind of interesting. They brought all this stuff, but then they're not branding it like Disney. They're branding it like, this isn't us. This is something else.
This is something else.
And I mean, I guess it's kind of good that they're doing R-rated movies. Deadpool, Wolverine, this. But stepping out of the Disney thing, but at the same time, all that media is owned by this one global conglomerate.
Are they doing it through gritted teeth though?
I think they just want money, and they're just trying to like fucking hide the fact that this is a Disney movie, because a lot of people have a lot of negative reactions to the House of Mouse.
I wonder why.
Oh, then we cut to fucking space. They're going through the wreckage of the Nostromo, the first film's ship, and they find the alien here. It's like fossilized in a rock. This is set 20 years after Alien, so I don't know why it would be fossilized.
I presume it was like part of the sort of ever-growing catalogue of the aliens' morphology.
Yeah.
Right? And like hardens in like a cocoon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a protective reaction, which is so like fucking stupid. Just, I mean, no, it would have been fine. It would have been fine just on its own, just that little thing. Oh yeah, that's just the throwaway thing. It's still there for some reason.
Yeah.
That's fine.
They need an alien in it, and they need to work within where they are, which is between alien and aliens.
You can deal with that, yeah.
We cut to Rain. What did you think of Rain and fucking, what's the android's name? Kevin?
David.
Kevin.
David.
David.
I didn't really know Rain. I didn't really know Andy.
Yeah.
I didn't really know, like, you know, they're in a hopeless sort of... I know what they've been dealing with.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they deal with it.
That's fair.
I know that they proceed through the events as they're presented to them. Right?
Yeah.
Like she's got a goal.
Yeah.
She's got a goal. This is her goal.
Get out of this nightmare.
And this happens to her. And then it happens to her, and then things keep happening to her, and she does the thing to get through that situation.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I think one of the main criticisms of, not so much Prometheus, but definitely Alien Covenant, and the worst example I can think of is Rogue One, where like, it should be like an ensemble character piece, and fucking obviously Alien, go back and you look at fucking Alien and fucking Harry Dean
We've had this conversation before.
A million times.
About the first Alien movie.
Yeah.
We've had this fucking conversation.
Truck drivers in space, and the characters are like amazing.
Yeah, when are we getting a purr?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought this did a better job than Alien Covenant at setting up a team, but that's not high praise. That's like, I'm not fucking 300 kilos, therefore I'm not fat. It's like, Alien Covenant was not good.
No.
So saying this is better than Alien Covenant isn't great praise. But yeah, I mean, they had basic archetypes of characters which they set up with no great depth or any complexity. But But you know, you have like the snippy one with the past and the Mexican one, and then probably other character archetypes. Girl, who is a girl.
Girl is pregnant.
Yeah.
Girl who's tomboyish. Girl who's main character. Guy who's sort of jockish, and he's, you know, he's proactive.
Laddie, like fucking...
hillbilly guy who's just like an arrogant asshole.
Yeah.
Who has a tragic backstory.
Which is a line. Which is fine.
Well, it's just the moment where they should have had at least some... it's so weird. Like, you have the main characters, the two main characters, and then you put them together with the rest of the cast. And they don't... Like, all they're talking about is what they're gonna do. Yeah. It's not, you know, they're talking about the script. This is what's happening in the script. You know, this is our motivations, right? But we're not, you know, they're not living in that world. We're not seeing them live in that world. We're not seeing them fucking grapple with anything. Yeah. You know, it's all very... Talk
about anything that isn't their direct objective, like Tarantino-esque observational conversations and...
Just because fucking the girl is pregnant and they describe that to us just makes it a characteristic of that character, doesn't actually make it a characterization of that character. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so the one who had the most characterization was the guy with the tragic backstory. He acts a certain way, and he acts that way because of these reasons.
He hates androids because of X.
Yeah.
I thought the acting on the behalf of the android guy, David Johnson, was really good. Just like the subtleties of like the little pauses and like glitches and stuff. And then he obviously upgrades later on and plays a similar but yet different character. I like the girl as well. She was from Civil War. Kaylee Spaney? Spaeny? I really liked her in Civil War, and she did okay in this. She
was okay.
Fine character. I remember Red Letter Media commenting on this, I think when Alien Covenant come back out, they're like, Sigourney Weaver's a female lead of the first 4 Alien movies, and it's like, yeah, okay, she's one of the greatest like antagonists in sci-fi horror history. And then Prometheus, they had a female lead because I guess Sigourney was a female lead, and then Covenant, they had a female lead because that's what they did in the other ones. Then in this again, it's like every Alien movie, they need to have a female lead because Alien existed and Sigourney was a female lead.
It's cynicism.
Yeah.
It's straight up cynicism. Like, you shouldn't be at the point where you're sort of thinking about, oh, why did they pick this person, or why is this person in this position, or what is happening. You know, you shouldn't be thinking about that. You should be sort of immersed in this sort of thing. You know, this is our character, this is who they are, this is how they feel at this current moment about this thing and all this sort of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and that all that sort of stuff should sort of like slip away, right? As you're enveloped by these characters and their struggles and like dealing with this fucked up scenario.
You're not thinking about the costume or the effects or anything. You're immersed in the world and the characters. You're emotionally invested. Are you telling me you weren't emotionally invested in this crew, Steve?
I think that the thing that brought it home for me was you had the annoying character archetype, the asshole. Yeah. Right? And he had the most standout characterization.
That's fair.
Which is not good. Yeah. Right? Because it should be juxtaposed between all our other characters. Oh, well, I like Rain, and I like this guy because, you know, he's a little bit funny, or he's got a little bit of a, you know, he's got a likeable personality, or he's competent, or whatever. But they're all just sort of samey, except for him, and he was going to be one of the first to die. Yeah. Because he's
they're
an
all
asshole.
Just alien fodder in the end. They're not actual characters. They're just
which is annoying.
Fodder there for the monster to kill, and then we go, ooh,
really?
That was a death.
Really? If the annoying guy had ended up being one of the ones that survived, and he went through like a whole arc.
A character arc?
Yeah.
Are you telling me the characters can change when they're presented with obstacles that they have to work hard to overcome?
And like,
is that what you're telling me?
No, well, not necessarily. Like, you don't have to do that. You could
but it would be nice.
Well,
one of the characters.
Just off the top of my head, right? That guy, if he, if it was him and Andy or something that was surviving.
He learns to love Andy.
Or whatever, it's like that would have been an interesting...
Growth.
Growth, character growth. Yeah, we didn't start anywhere.
So we couldn't end anywhere.
Yeah, you can't. We didn't take our characters through anywhere.
Yeah,
they didn't go anywhere. They just had things happen to them and did those and went through the motions of doing those things.
That's fair.
And so with a slasher movie, that's kind of what you get anyway, like I guess like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever.
I think if you go back and watch the original 60s Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there'll be like a lot of great characterization, detail and complexity in those characters. I haven't watched that film in fucking 20 years, but I would imagine so from a 60s film. It would be vastly different from this.
I speculate that possibly that's because of the restrictions on how you make a movie. Again, this movie, and this is kind of jumping forward a bit, but it suffers from the same, I imagine, that it suffers from the same problems that a lot of modern movies have with big budgets. Right? So you can do anything. You can do anything. So the characters get drowned out by, we're going to have this huge set piece and there's going to be, there's going to be a dozen aliens.
And when you can't do everything you want, you come up with new and inventive ways to go around that, and it builds creativity.
What about the fight with Ash and fucking Ripley? In the first one.
Fourth wall.
Yeah, breaks the fourth wall, and he's like shoving a magazine. And it's like they're in a room. They're in a room. And they're fighting, and I don't know how long it is, like 5-10 minutes or something.
No, not long
at all. And it's fucking hectic.
So like, he's like in fast forward mode and spinning around and shit.
It's cool, And
are we at the point where we're talking about digital necromancy yet? The digging up of Ian Holmes' grave?
Sorry, we're just going to go around that. Right? It actually made me feel uncomfortable.
Well, because of the fact that they are like digging.
No, it was uncanny.
Like it looks like digital face replacement from like 20 years ago. I'm not a fan of digital face replacement in general. I think the best it's ever been done is the newest Indiana Jones they did at the beginning. I didn't really like that either. But they had Harrison Ford to like play out every scene as Harrison Ford, and then they got deep fakes and CGI and a bunch of different tools to de-age him. Here, obviously, Ian Holmes been dead for ages. But even still, I thought, like, did something go wrong? Did they have to rush through this in, like, the last month?
We're gonna get it done.
The film's playing in half an hour. Can we finish up? Because it looked really, really bad. And I get that Ian Holm is dead, so they can't use anything from the actual actor to help them build that. But even still, it looked so bad.
I think it was AI.
Yeah.
I think it was a deep fake.
It's crazy because so much of this film is practical effects and real things. The director, Fede Álvarez, he got like the original team from Aliens who had like split off and started their own company, so he's brought them all back. So it's like an A-star team of practical effects wizards with the face huggers and the sets and the lighting.
Which you could tell.
The real aliens. And then him, just looked terrible. If you look at Alien 3, from 30 years ago, there's a scene where Sigourney Weaver pulls up Bishop, and it's all animatronic, and it's all janky and weird, and his eyes flicking and stuff. Why did they not just do that? That would have been cheaper, and it's a real physical object being captured by the lens.
I watched Alien 3, the assembly cut last night, because that's my favourite Alien movie.
And that scene with Bishop, it looks so
great. It's like,
30 years ago. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a simple, cheap animatronic, which would have costed way less than this digital fucking nightmare, which doesn't work.
It made me feel physically uncomfortable.
I had a friend who liked it and defended it and said like all the fact that he's an android and he's glitching and dying, that worked in with the fact that it's terrible effects. But like, what did the characters seeing? Because the characters aren't seeing bad CGI.
No.
They're seeing what Sigourney Weaver seen in Alien 3 with like a actual physical object that exists within their realm that was glitchy and breaking down. Just build a fucking prosthetic.
Or just have another character.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be fucking Ian Holmes. Alright, if you can't do it don't do it. It's really... anyway.
I liked a lot of this movie, especially the first 2 acts. I think the atmosphere and the tone is really great. The first 2 acts, the third act drags a lot, and I think there's even a 4th act after we get our 3rd act. We kind of get another 4th act with an alien resurrection.
Which movie was that? One of them, it was like that, so they finished the movie. We're done, right? They've overcome all the obstacles.
Aliens kind of does that. Everything wraps up when they're on the ship.
It's Aliens,
and everything.
yeah.
And then the Queen comes out. Like, you've got your first 3 acts, and then you get a 4th, and... This does the same thing, but it's no aliens.
And it just drags on. It drags on. And even the 4th act in Aliens only lasted fucking like 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
You know, and it was good.
Yeah,
right? It's like it was used effectively to rip you out of that sense of relief. And one of the things I was thinking about, right, is at least the first 3 Alien movies, they all thematic, right? So the first one, it's a slasher movie. It's claustrophobic, right? And you get a sense of release and catharsis when she blows that fucker out the airlock, right?
Absolutely.
Second one, right? You get the theme is motherhood, things like that.
She wakes up, her daughter's dead. She finds Newt, his parents have been destroyed. She adopts Newt. There's a motherhood thing there. The Queen's babies have all been slaughtered, so that's also a mother that's been through this trauma. And
so they get away, and then you have a sort of wind down. Yeah. And then they don't get away, and you're back into it again, but only for a little bit, and then they blow that fucker out the airlock. And you get that sense of bringing everything down, like catharsis and release.
The happy family all goes to sleep in their pods.
The third one, hopelessness. That's the thing, right? Hopelessness and depression. There's nothing you can do.
/ rape. There's like an undertone of rape throughout the film.
Just utter despair, right? There's nothing you can do. Everything you've ever had that may have been good has been ripped away from you. You're surrounded by fucking hopelessness.
Rapists, and murderers.
You know, you maybe have a relationship with someone who suddenly gets ripped away from you. It's amazing.
Halfway through the movie.
And she commits fucking suicide at the end. Right? And but it's that sense of she finally denies the company what they wanted. Right? That her final sort of clapback, the one thing she can control is her own life. Right? And she does.
That's her.
And that's that sense of...
And then they never made any more Alien movies. We just got the original trilogy. This is the exact same with Star Wars, right? Fucking 40 years ago, there were 2 sci-fi masterpieces, and now Disney... Because this is a famed IP, just has to keep on doing it. And is this the rest of our lives? Like, how many more times are we going to sit down to Alien and Star Wars and the 5 other fucking IPs that exist that Disney owns and talk about the fact that they had 1-off or 2-off brilliant movies and now it's just
It's just the same thing. Well, this movie is like 4 or 5 movies in one. It has all the worst parts of like... Covenant and Prometheus and
that's the Prometheus goo that turns into the fucking thing. She's in her underwear at the end and has the same shoes. Get away from her, you bitch, was so like egregious. That means so much in the second movie. With,
Get away from her, you
Ripley
bitch.
And Newt's relationship, and the Queen is like a female, so it makes sense. Get away from her, you bitch.
And it's like a thematic thing.
It's
literally like it could be a metaphorical thing.
And then here, it's like the android just says it, and why does he say that, and why does he say bitch? It's not.
And it's out of character because it's like
he never says anything like that for the rest of the film. Do they really expect people to like stand up and clap at that point, or like enjoy that?
Oh shit! They said that in the second movie. I don't know. The point is that the beautiful thing about the first 3 Alien movies. I know a lot of people don't like the third one. I know why. The assembly cut, I love that. It's my favourite Alien movie.
It's great.
But the common theme between those 3 is how narrow they all are, right? There's not a lot... There's a lot going on in the second one. It's an action movie. But you sort of, you hone it all down. You cut away all the stuff, right? In this, you know... it's we've got a whole part, and it's all like face huggers and like experiments, and they're in a lab and revealing all that and sort of unveiling all that, and then you've got an alien with the face huggers as they transition to then multiple aliens, and then you transition to fucking Prometheus, and like, and it just...
You need to cut out one or two of those.
There's so much happening.
And then have more character moments.
Yeah, take away half an hour, the last half an hour, slow it down, narrow it a bit, right? Give us some more
character moments, and have like, 3 really good horror scenes. I thought like the facehugger scene was effective. It's just, once you start getting towards the end, you start to get fatigued. But like the director obviously knows a lot about how to create atmosphere and tension and suspense. I thought this had a lot of like Expanse-y elements. The writers of The Expanse are obviously highly influenced by Alien, James S. A. Corey, what are the names? Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, truck drivers in fucking space. But this felt like it had kind of borrowed things from The Expanse with like gravity, G-forces, I like the alien blood in the 0G. And then The Expanse, one of the things that it really always did well is it created a problem, and on top of that problem they piled another problem, then another problem, and they'd go into the situation and there'd just be all these compiling things which would just weigh everything down and just make it so complex. And it was brilliant. If you haven't watched The Expanse and you're a fan of alien movies, it's incredible. And this did that. There were moments, with like the rings, and that was like a ticking clock element, and then it was become quicker, and the chest burster and the ship spinning. I liked a lot of that stuff, compiling the different elements of tension and suspense on top of each other, and these kids just being overwhelmed and fucked.
I think one of the problems with that though, and I agree with you, right? It's so, what you're describing, do you know about Alien Isolation, the video game?
I know of it. I don't know anything
so I've
about
watched like playthroughs and stuff. So this is almost exactly like beat for beat that.
True.
Right, like in terms of the sort of compiling errors, like playing with how the station breaks and how this can happen and how this can happen, right?
Technology turns against you, the monster turns, space turns against you.
I think though one of the problems is that in a movie like this, if you handle it incorrectly, or the reasons for things happening are not necessarily well thought through, it can become a comedy of errors. Right? So the fucking the ship or the EEV or whatever goes out. And then I'm waiting, okay, it's going to crash in the station, right? Which was funny. Because it's like, of course it is. Right? It crashes in the station, it goes all the way around the station and goes back into an airlock on the other side, and they reference it and they go, oh, it's in the airlock on the other side of the station. And it just goes on, and then like, the elevator, oh, there's no gravity, oh, we're waiting for the purge, oh, oh, the acid's melted through this, so now they're getting through here, and and it just fucking goes on and on and on, and there seems to be, if it happens too quickly together, there's no sense of like progress.
That's fair.
There's no sense of that sort of, at least a little bit of letting off the tension a little bit, right? They're running down a hallway, and maybe let them get to the end of the hallway instead of, something happening in the hallway, because something happened in the previous scene when they were running down a hallway or going through a shaft or doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I remember, to cite The Expanse once again, there's a part where Holden talks about his dog dying, and he goes through the story of his dog. He loved his dog, childhood dog, blah, 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 blah. It was just him. He was an only child with his 17 parents, so like the dog was like his brother and sister. And when the dog died, he said he cried for like 5 hours, and then he thought he'd cry forever, but the human body only has so much sorrow, and once you run out of that sorrow, there is no more. And it's the same with tension and suspense. Like, you only have so much tension and suspense, and if the movie burns you out on that, then you don't have any left. You need those breaks, and then have the moment again. But you're right, it does, get to what, like the halfway point, kind of?
I'd say halfway.
And then the rest of it is just, constant tension and suspense, and you don't have that much.
No, it's gone. Yeah,
It's, physically, it doesn't exist.
I mean, let's think about the first Alien movie, right? So every character dies in a setup.
Yeah.
So you establish the stakes, you establish the mission, the scenario and all that sort of stuff, and you give jobs to each of your characters. Right? That's a classic slasher fucking trope.
Yeah.
Right. And they sort of all go and die in a sequence.
Yeah.
Right. So the guy with the cat, right? He goes off and he's in the room with the chains and the water and stuff like that, looking for the cat. Because they're looking for the cat.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a reason.
Yeah, or whatever, and
they're looking for the cat.
Yeah.
Because the cat was sending off.
They're fucking up their search for the thing. Yeah. And it's like there's they let off the tension and you're sort of with him and walking around.
Well, even with John Hurt, like he gets the face hugger and it's tense and they cut it and the acid burns through the ship. And then he wakes up, and then they sit down, and
they
they're
have
all around
fucking
the table,
breakfast.
and they're not talking about anything. They're laughing, and they're talking about bonuses, and you did this, and they're having fun, and they're playing, and
then
it's like
it goes,
happy. And then it fucking it's like one of the greatest scenes in sci-fi horror history.
It's like
you're right. The facehuggers attack her. Immediately, chest bursts. Immediately, the ship crashes. Immediately, the aliens awake. Immediately, it's killing people. Immediately, there's more aliens. Right after that, we get the Prometheus monster. There's no moments of levity or
not letting
break.
it breathe. And so that actually brings me around to the second point. So, firstly, the visuals were great.
It was beautiful.
Love the visuals. Love the set design.
Amazing.
The thing that was not great was the sound design. Now. If you were to take snippets of the sound design and show me, I'd go, that sounds amazing.
That's fair.
Especially in the beginning, it's sort of how, like, 2001 Space Odyssey sort of
slower
notes and the horns from Alien 3 and the sort of from Alien and some bits from Prometheus and all that sort of stuff. Really great, right?
Yeah.
But the movie itself it was obnoxious.
Yeah.
How fucking loud and just constant, and I don't know whether that's because that's how you have to score those tense scenes, which they're all tense scenes.
Yeah.
Right? It's like being on a roller coaster and you're constantly going up and 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 you never stop.
I can listen to heavy metal for like an hour and then I need to switch into 70s soul music. I can't sit there and listen to heavy metal for 7 hours straight.
Yeah. So
I need a break.
2 hours, this movie? 2.5 hours?
I think just 2, or
2
maybe
hours.
even a little less than 2. It felt like 2.5.
And it just didn't stop. It just didn't stop. And I'm fucking like... and then it would have like... So one, I don't know whether it's a good thing or not. In the beginning, they had the... where everything switched on, all the consoles. And that's great as like a once or twice occurrence in a movie.
Yeah.
It happened in the first Alien movie, right? That's like...
all the analog tech.
It's basically a free jump scare. You get a free jump scare, right? Everything's quiet and off and then it jumps to life. That's a free one. Yeah, that's yours. You can have that. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Right? We're with it. I'm on
You've
board.
earned it through the big silence.
Yeah.
Because you become accustomed to the silence, then when it becomes loud, it shocks you.
But it just kept doing that. It just kept, bam, and it would cut to a thing and it's like, bam, and it's like, and it's like, it's almost as if there's a constant drone of the score through the whole thing. It's not literally a drone, but that's what it feels like. It becomes white noise,
that's
you know?
Fair. That's fair.
So I feel like that really turned me off as well after about the halfway mark.
Yeah, I really like the first act and part of the second act. Yeah, the visuals amazing, cinematography is amazing. They just like carbon copied all the aesthetics from Alien with like the drinky bird, which is from the first one, which like you watch the first one, you're like, that's a inherently 70s thing.
Yeah.
And it's in like 2100 and what the fuck ever year.
We like it.
Yeah. But then, it got to a point where it just, too much.
Too much. Well, so I think that there was too much tension, ironically. There's too much story. Right? Because if you think about the other one, it's the characters
Yeah.
and their stories, like all the original ones, and then it's the company being the antagonist, and then the alien being the antagonist, obviously, right? And that's the story.
Yeah.
That there is no other story,
Yeah.
right? In number 4, they sort of elaborate on what the company's doing.
Yeah,
that's
you see more of the company.
And that's what they did in this movie, but they just kept elaborating. Oh, well, blah, 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 and then it became Prometheus.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't...
It's really weird because I am of the belief that Prometheus and Alien Covenant weren't well received.
I thought we were sidelining those. That's what I thought.
We were deleting them as like a fever dream of like Ridley's fucking dementia
pants,
and just like moving on. Like, oh, this is a fresh start. Don't worry, but it came back again. It's like whenever Disney references like the Star Wars prequels, I'm always shocked because I'm like, oh, don't people hate those films?
Yeah, I thought we were done with that.
And it's weird to reference something which wasn't like,
well received.
That's fucking weird. I want to talk about logic and decision making. I know that a lot of the worst parts of Prometheus and Alien Covenant were the logic and decision making, and a lot of those broke me and pulled me out.
Sure.
And I don't have as much as that with this. I don't have a whole lot of problems, but I just want to tell a little story here. I was on the trampoline with my kids, and it's about a 9-foot trampoline, and it was up on a hill.
Oh.
And when I leaned back, like the whole trampoline would like shift.
Yeah.
So like it flicks up, and I quite often with the trampoline I'll get it and I'll push it up, and the kids will be on it, and I'll be like, ah! But I'm controlling all of that. So this one time, like I'm not the smartest motherfucker out there, and I'm not the dumbest motherfucker out there. But this was probably like a week ago. Ella, my daughter, was like, "Oh, Hunter should hold up that end as we lean back on the hill, and the trampoline flips." And I'm a human being, and I was like, yes, we should. So yeah, we leaned back on the trampoline, and it's about 9 feet long. It flipped up like fucking vertical, and then further than vertical. So he's like 10 feet up in the air. He's 3 years old. It immediately just flips up fucking 10 feet beyond vertical, and he flies out, and he still grabs on, but like his whole body like shifts and swings and like comes back down. I'm on the bottom. I'm like, oh my god! If he had to let go, he just would have been like,
done,
like broken. And like a lot of people, a lot of the times they'll look at a movie and they'll go through every decision and they'll say, that's not logical, therefore it's bad writing. But I think to write the human condition broken and flawed, which we are, I make terrible decisions sometimes, is smarter. I'm not defending any of the decision making in this film. But in general, I think a lot of the time, a lot of people go through horror movies and they pick out everything that's illogical, and it's like, okay, get someone with a knife to run into your house and see how fucking analytical and logical you are.
See how logical you are.
You're gonna panic and do some dumb shit.
I think as a horror fan myself, I think you get I personally think you get a it's the same with jump scares, actually.
Yeah.
You get a quota.
Yeah.
Or you get like a free amount, right? I think the key with everything should just be balance, you know?
Yeah.
And look at Ripley, right? And this is more about competency, which is kind of at the root of this sort of thing. When people want to go in and delve deep in those decisions, right? It's like, how competent are our characters and what should we expect from them, right? Especially under pressure. Have we seen them under pressure?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you can have characters that grow through a movie and can make dumb decisions and then make good decisions.
That's fair. Come out of it.
Yeah, and so I think in this movie, for me, it wasn't actually... I don't think that any of the characters were making decisions at all.
Yeah.
I think that things were happening to them and they were reacting.
That's fair.
And that aspect of it, I never questioned why they were doing one thing or another.
Yeah.
Right? They were just there doing things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And it's like the one who had this... Because it all sort of feeds into each other, characterization and competency and background and what the scenario is and what's happening, and are they panicked and are they tense and all this sort of stuff. I think the one decision that really stood out was like Andy, and we knew why he made his decisions.
Yeah.
They set up and paid off. He's different now. He's protecting the company's interests, and he's making decisions based on that.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody else was just sort of like following the goal, going towards the goal. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah, and so it's like that aspect itself didn't really take me out of the movie.
That's fair.
But I think there's also, on that note, just as a side comment, I think that you can go too far in the other direction as well. I remember there's a term for it. It's like the Ken doll of competency or whatever. Competent Ken doll.
Yeah.
Where a person is like just super competent. Right?
Yeah.
Everything they do.
It's like Wesley Crusher from TNG.
Yeah. Every decision they make is excellent. Right.
Yeah.
And the right decision that ended up doing the right results. Right.
Yeah.
And I think. Yeah, that can be a problem as well, right? So
it's about writing the character as an individual character who has motivations and tendencies and like a little bit of depth. Not a lot. You don't need a lot of depth. A little bit of complexity. And then it's, do you believe that specific character would do that in that moment? Different characters would react to different situations differently.
You know what a great example is? Aliens, right? The fucking, what's his name? The new young commander or whatever.
But he just freaks out.
He just freaks out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, everybody needs to tactical retreat and they need to, who's firing? Who's firing? You know, you need to, and it's like,
Ripley's like, what the fuck
are you doing?
How
good a moment is that? And
he chokes.
He chokes.
And it's 100%, you don't question that moment at all. You don't go, that's illogical.
Why
oh, what a brilliant little fucking character moment to throw into that chaos.
Why didn't he just fucking yell at them to come out? Why didn't he go?
Why did he freak out when everyone started fucking dying?
I didn't think about that.
No.
Anybody that points to the same sort of thing happening, right, and criticises it but doesn't criticise that one.
That's fair.
Because I would imagine, possibly be the sort of person that would revere those movies.
Yeah.
Then they're a hypocrite.
That's fair.
Right. It's and so, but in saying that, if the quality of the movie is not good,
then you start picking it
apart.
Yeah, like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back and Alien and Aliens, like they're not perfect movies, but because some elements are so brilliantly done, and then people bring up plot holes, you're like, it doesn't matter.
I don't care,
Who fucking cares? But then if the quality of the product isn't as good, you start thinking about all that in the movie and you start breaking it down and analysing it.
When my brain turned, I think you probably noticed the moment that my fucking brain turned off, eh?
What did you think of the first half? Were you like in at the beginning?
I was in.
Yeah.
I was with them.
When they were in the ship, like leaving the atmosphere and you had the ciggy and the lighter and stuff, I was in
with them
for like a long while, and then it just pacing, tension, constant suspense, and then all the callbacks. And you don't need any callbacks.
And the comedy of errors.
Yeah.
I think that I want to say when the ship is about to crash into the station.
Yeah.
I think that's when I switched off.
That's fair.
Right. I sort of audibly snickered at it. And I was like, here we go. And then it starts.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't fucking stop. If it had happened and then it sort of like went well after that, and the movie got good,
slowed down,
or whatever.
Yeah,
it came good after that. Then I probably would have gotten straight back into it and go, oh yeah, that's funny that happened, right? And that's good. That means that we can have some fucking
stumble a little bit, but not fall over and smash your teeth.
Again, it's like the third movie, right? Is you can have horribly sort of bad things happen to your characters and have it be good.
Yeah.
Right? It's good that they're fucking torturing these characters. We like it because that's the feeling that I want from this movie. I'm gonna fucking punish these characters.
Especially fucking Ripley.
Yeah, especially Ripley, right? I'm punishing you for going to a space station and having this happen.
For existing and surviving.
Yeah. We're gonna fucking grind you into the ground, and one of them is gonna be this ship smashing into the fucking station and basically triggering a cascade of all this other sort of stuff.
That's fair.
So, I don't know.
So in conclusion, I thought this was visually very beautiful. All the sets, all the props, everything aesthetically, cinematography was amazing. I think I brought into Andy and Rain a bit more than you. The rest of the crew were just very base archetypes. First kind of hour or maybe less than an hour, I thought was well paced and it worked and I was on board. The director obviously knows stuff about tension and suspense when you go to that first face hugger scene. And then
where he's going,
and the dick's trying to like deep throat him. And yeah, just like the water and like him passing out and Andy being frozen.
That's
cool. It was great. And then I think it didn't let up at that point. And you get tired and you get fatigued. And then all like the little references, get out of here, you bitch, and her being in her underwear and
the smoke with the laser sensor. Why? We don't know.
Like, you look at Deadpool and Wolverine and you look at what they did, like Channing Tatum, he was always going to be Gambit and it just never worked out. So in this movie they pull him in and they make him a character and then they give him like a moment and he does stuff.
Yeah.
They don't just go, Channing Tatum, Gambit, bye. They bring him in and then his character gets like a resolution and the actor gets a resolution to this history and he gets moments and he gets to like live out a moment. It's different with fan service when they're just like, do you remember this? Bye. It's not there for any narrative reason, it's just there because, hey, we should reference aliens.
Could you imagine if you'd never seen any of the Alien movies and you saw, oh, get off her, you bitch?
Yeah, he hasn't sworn before.
Was that alien a female? Is that why he's calling it bitch? Why is he doing that now? We don't know.
We've said it 40 years.
Yeah, but they don't know that, so it's just kind of...
Yeah, it'd be weird because the movie focuses on it and stops and zooms in.
We've seen that before and that's just schlock. That's just pure schlock.
If you're going to reference something from a previous iteration in a franchise, there needs to be a narrative reason. It can't just be, hey, look at this from Star Wars Episode 4. It's that little probe droid that Luke trains with. Goodbye.
Needs to be a part of the movie.
It needs to be there for a reason. Chekhov's gun. If we reference there's a rifle up here in chapter 3, by chapter fucking 9, the rifle has to have done something. Otherwise, don't mention the fact that there's a rifle. Unless it's just, like a red herring. There needs to be a reason. In conclusion, what do you think of fucking Alien Romulus, Steve?
Waste the goddamn.
I think it was better than Prometheus. Oh, maybe not Prometheus, actually. It was better than Alien Covenant, but once again, that's like saying I'm not fat because I'm not as fat as that 300 kilo person over there.
I'll just go and watch the first 3 Alien movies again and then maybe the fan edit of Prometheus and that'll be that. And I'll be happy with that.
Disney will make one every 5 years for the rest of our lives.
The Alien Cinematic Universe.
As well as Star Wars and Marvel.
And then crossover Darth Vader vs. Alien.
Yeah. And we'll see you then in 2036 with Darth Vader vs. Predator, for Alien vs. John McClane, for Wolverine
AI John McClane,
Luke Skywalker. Thank you and good night. Thank you, Steve.